good morning. My name is Jerome Quah. I am a private music instructor as well as a pianist, and I've been performing in the scene for many years, and I also do teach, give private students on learning of teaching of piano, and also, I'm also an instructor for a few school bands, which under the school's co-curriculum program. And besides that, I am also the president of the Penang Jazz Society, which I do conduct weekly rehearsal sessions, and also I help to organize the society's activities for the entire year. Yeah, so that's basically what I do. Well, I believe that journey began very long time ago. I would say that I could trace it back into my primary school days. It all started when my late auntie, who looks after me that time, decided to send me for piano lessons. So that was the beginning of that little journey. But of course, being a little kid, I enjoy playing piano. But just like any other kid, when it comes to practice, I can be a little bit lazy. But again, it's not really much of a problem, because I'm always interested in during when I was practicing the piano, I was never tired. In fact, I do enjoy it. And then that was the initial stage. And then the later stage was when I was in high school. And then in the high school that I goes to, which is the Penang Free School, it has a school band. So that was when I started joining the school band, and that was really the most impactful experience that it had on me. You see, to play music, to get into this kind of career. So for 5 years, I think most of what I could recall is that I spent a lot of time, in the school band, most of my time. And although my academic did suffer a bit, but thoroughly I really enjoyed that life, because most of the time we have like practices 3 times a week, and we get to play together a lot of music, and of course we had fun. And of course all the holidays, we did nothing but play music for a couple of weeks. So let's say you have a month of 4 weeks of holiday, like almost like half of it is taken up, to play in the band or to go for practices. And other than that, after that, because one thing led to another, when I was in like Form 3, so the education department has actually started a kind of a program called the Penang Combined Schools concert band, symphonic band, sorry. So they sort of selected all the top players from each school to join this band. And then I was also part of this band for 2-3 years. So I do enjoy that, but it's just that the only thing is I didn't get to really play in the orchestra, because the instrument which I played when I was in the school band was, I started as a trumpet player and then move on to euphonium. And the euphonium is not really a standard orchestra a standard instrument in the orchestra. So after the school, I have finished school. There was like 2-3 years I didn't really do much, and my aunt just encourages me to go into like taking the the higher level kind of piano examination. So that was the period of time which I concentrated on the piano, doing like any other people, the what do you call it, sitting preparing for that piano examination called the licentiate Trinity College of Music. And that short period of time, I didn't get to play in any group. So kind of miss that environment. Then after that, I got into the Yamaha Music School and I started teaching there. So there was a span of many years where I was just teaching the Yamaha courses. But of course, during the process, I did manage to like get some of the teachers to play in their, like the piano teachers and concert, So managed to get a few to play together. So that was the what do you call it, the limited experience that I have during that years with the Yamaha schools. Then after that, I continue to go for further studies where I have I did my degree, the music degree at the Universiti Sains of Malaysia. That is actually the turning point. Okay, that's where I met a lot of notable lecturer, and one of them is Professor Razif. So he was the only guy who plays jazz when he came back to start lecturing at USM from Paris, France. So at the time, actually for a period of time, I did not really take up any piano lessons. I was just playing like as if I was looking for something, but I don't know what that was. So until Professor Jip came and then came back and then he said, okay, I offer this jazz piano course, a short course for everyone. So which I joined. And then the moment I walked into the studio for the first session, I saw him play, and that was where I knew, this is what I wanted. And I just didn't know that it's called jazz. So from there, it went on. And then what happened was in the university, they started to form this USM jazz band. I was one of the pioneering keyboardists. And then after that, from there, I started my own group called the Q Jazz Collective. And then from there, it moved on to forming a kind of a large jazz ensemble a project with a few other players. And then that led to me forming the Northern Jazz Ensemble, which is actually my first early big band, jazz orchestra kind of setup. Then of course, after that, I had a smaller group called Northern Jazz Unit. And then from there, I was with the Penang Philharmonic for 5 years. And that's where I founded the Penang Philharmonic Big Band, which we had our first concert at the Penang Pack. And then subsequently, I moved on and then I formed the Penang Jazz Society. And that's where I formed another big band called the Big Band of Penang. In short, it's called Bebop. And with that, we have been going places. Yeah, so I would say that what started me off is actually it's a school, high school, and then of course, earlier stage is my late auntie who looks after me, and also from there onwards, when from the Universiti Sains Malaysia's time, that few years of doing my basic degree there, it was Professor Jeep and also what they call it, the USM Jazz Band. Yep. Okay. Well, I'm sure it differs from every musician to another, but let's talk about the one pre-COVID time. Okay, it's just like we'll be busy with rehearsals. Normally, we will get together at least like maybe 2 or 3 times a week with the band, and then we will practice together, and then we will also take some time to, let's say, get together with the team for maybe breakfast or tea time to discuss about the repertoire that we're going to work on. And then on the other hand, at times I will have to deal with the client who will be engaging us for their function. So they will be like involved like phone calls and then meeting up with the client, and then dealing with some some financial matters, and then of course I have also typically in that week I will have to meet with, let's say, our dealers of equipment so that I can make reservation and then of getting our sound system for that particular event, and also the venue. I may also need to go and check the venue of the gig that we are going to be performing in that on that particular week to check the acoustic and things like that. And besides that, also I have to run rehearsals for the big band, which was actually like once or twice every week. And then, of course, other than that, I have to, divide my time teaching piano to my students. So, and then at times I may also, a certain period of time, typical of my schedule is that I may also spend some time, let's say in overseas, attending some music festival or music workshop, or or master classes, so that kind of schedule. But then move forward to currently, when we started to have this lockdown, which seems to never ending until now. So the typical schedule now really changed very drastically. So suddenly I find that as compared to pre-COVID era was, now suddenly I have a plentiful of time, really loads of time. Okay, because for a fact that you can't go out, you're confined to the house most of the time. So that's where typical time is. I use that to do some practices. I use the time to learn something that I may have, which I wanted to learn for a long time, but have no time. So I would just either refer to some of the books that I still have, which I bought for a long time, and there's no time to really read the books on like jazz harmony, jazz theory, or even like on teaching. And then of course I do have also occasionally we will meet up with certain of my bandmates, be it from the big band or the combo band. We will talk about like how to play, how to certain theories, like a group discussion, group studies. And then on top of that, I still continue on teaching, not as many, but more online. So I'm dealing with a lot of students online. So then typically, of course, it goes back to practicing and then watching some videos of certain artists performing, and then listening to a lot of music. Yeah. So that's typically my schedule as a musician for now. Yeah. And so you can see a stark difference between pre-COVID and post-COVID. So post-COVID, pre-COVID is we really were very busy back then. The area of jazz is that what I do is a lot of improvisation. Okay, in jazz, we need to improvise on the song. So improvisation is what I would term as also a kind of a creative process. It's just that different from a songwriter. It's just that it's spontaneous. It's at that moment, at that spur of moment when you are performing with your bandmates. That's where you come up with this the musical idea. So, but that musical idea, don't get me wrong, is not just spontaneous or like goreng, or I just terjun without any prior preparation. No, there is some form of preparation, but it's just that we may not know what we're going to use at the moment. But we do work on our lines. We do sit down. We do study the songs that we're going to play around. So the first step is, if let's say I'm playing this song called Autumn Leaf. So the first process is I will just go around Spotify or iTunes to just look for some Autumn Leaves version played by other musicians. So I will just listen through. So maybe I may be listening to maybe what do you call it, Bill Evans' version. Bill Evans is a jazz pianist. So I may just listen to how he would play, how he would arrange his that song, because in jazz, a lot of those jazz musicians plays the same standard, but it's just that all of them sounds very different because it's uniquely different. So I have to study their style or the technique they use. And once I have listened to that, so I will have an idea what it is. Then after that, I will have to figure out, let's say if I'm going to play with a band, okay, I must have I must work out a rough structure, like, okay, how do we play this? Okay, what style? And then maybe in the process, we will have to, talk with the musician. Okay, maybe here I want to change the chord to this one. So everybody is on the same page. Then after that, the last part is actually I will need to, work on the chords, the harmony, and then I may have to practice certain lines, just to make sure, like, because sometimes there's certain tricky stuff, and then you want to, work, you want to, what do you call it, the melody, the line that moves from this line to that line must be connected. But of course, again, you have to understand when we play, again, whatever line that we're going to use, we actually do not know. But it's just like you practice talking at home before you go out to speak to the public. But what is going to come, we do not know. But you already been prepared. Okay, if when you start to speak, you don't really think anymore about what you want, how you're going to speak. But it's like in school, we are drilled how to speak with the right grammar and so on. So these are the process which I go through. It's quite a long process, but it was absolutely necessary. And then after that, of course, is a collaboration with the musician. That's where I may ask the musician to have some input, because when you play again, it's going to be a different thing. They may have some ideas that they're going to inject in. So once that's done, that's it. This is the whole process that I go through in the creative process. Oh yes, especially if you run a community group, because first of all, as a community group, I'm referring more to the big band. It's not a professional group whereby all the musicians are paid. So if they are professional musicians, which they are paid, is fine. Okay, I'm the boss, I tell you what to do. The kind of things, no. But the thing is, when you are involved, when you are involving a lot of musicians and on their own voluntary capacity, and they are joining this professional, this community group, we have to actually, treat them as an equal partner, or as a, what they call it, as a colleague. And with that meaning, you see, we have to actually bounce idea. Like we have to sit down, even like rehearsals, we have to listen to the members, okay? And like the big band of Penang has a very diverse group of musicians. We have on the other hand, expats who are very experienced and also very good musicians. So they have their own, what do you call it, their own expectation, okay? And then on the other hand, you have students, and students, is another group of musicians who have a different kind of life as compared to retirees. And then of course, on the third group is those working adults of the local working adults. So like, for example, a simple things like rehearsal schedule. We have to sit down and we have to listen to all these various groups and come to a certain agreement on, let's say, time. As simple as that. And then of course, during the rehearsals, I'll be very open to suggestions from the members on, like how they want to interpret it, because sometimes maybe my own interpretation, actually there's no right or wrong, but it's just which one is better. So with that coming from the members, particularly when you talk about the rhythm section, okay, they have certain way of the driving the band. So we also need to talk, and sometimes like like this issue when we play this certain Latin piece, is an issue of the timing. Okay, so we need to play fast, but then again, when you play too fast, the blowers will have problem. So we have to listen, and then after that, we just need to come to what is the right speed that everyone can play together, that enable everyone to work at the optimum level. So that is that is what we have to do as a team, on a collaborative level. And yes, definitely, all this input to me is very, very important. And even like, when you talk about the another team, which is actually the organization team from the society, when they deal with when we have a concert, they will find their own manpower to be like the usher, stage manager, stage crew, and things like that. Yeah, we have to also sit down and discuss about how to deal with the situation, because sometimes we ourselves will face some shortage in the volunteers. So I need to listen to them, whoever is in charge. Like there's one instances, this concert we really run out of ushers, and we have like around 3 or 4 personnel who comes in. But after discussion, we decided, okay, maybe we change the lineup. These 2 person who are quite good with dealing with troubleshoot was sent to become the stage crew, and then the usher, you don't need so many. So that's how we arrive to that the decision after meeting and after listening to everyone. Yeah. Ideal musicians, there are many, but so far we have collaborated with some of the most experienced and well-established musicians from KL. There were a couple of them. I mean, I don't have really one particular one, but if you talk about based on the collaborations that we had so far, from the last 4 or 5 years, maybe I can name a few, that I really do. Let's put this in the one that really, that we had a very good time working with. Okay, so I would say on the list is Michael Virapan Trio. That was a very, very good experience, as Michael comes with a lot of experience and he's willing to share, and we all learn a lot right after that. And then the second artist that I really enjoy collaborating with is actually the WVC Jazz Ensemble, the one that is led by Mr. Teacher Siang, that we had our last concert in 2019. It was something that we have never done before, but that concert was very high energy, and that could be one of the best concert that we have had in Penang Pack in the 2019 before the pandemic. And also thirdly is Mr. Quah, saxman of Thailand. There are a couple of times where he jumped on board and started to collaborate with us. So I do enjoy the experience because he inspires the entire band, and he is also very open and very, he's always forever ready to work with anyone. And with him around and his bunch of friends, I do actually that was also another one of the best performance that I have experienced before. And also last but not least is Professor Jeep's Jeep Jazz Trio, which we had a collaboration back in 2019, mid of 2019, which was also very interesting in a way that, with Jeep, we get to explore a lot of his own original arrangement. Yeah. So in short, all of them, working with them, actually, they at the end of the day, they do inspire all of us to move on, to excel. Well, I have a few a few musicians. Again, I don't have one particular one in the list, but I was actually very motivated by a few musicians who I have come in contact with, and most of them they are more experienced musicians, and I will just name a few. Okay, one of them is Michael Verapant of KL. He's one of the most experienced and the experienced jazz pianists in KL and in Malaysia, a driving force, in the jazz scene, and watching him play and watching him, organizes the Malaysia Jazz Piano Festival, really do inspire me to really try to attain that kind of standard and try our best. And of course, the second one is that I find that does inspire me with his playing a lot is Mr. Tejas Young of the WBC trio. I mean I was never amazed since the first day I got to know him, and the first day when I saw his group play, that is like how long ago? Like more than 10 years ago. And then of course out of Malaysia, we have people like there is this particular pianist, jazz pianist, whom I'm also which I have worked before, and and have inspired me a lot is Dr. Danny J. U. Praset. He happens to be the dean of the Ransit Conservatory of Music in Bangkok, and also Mr. Cossack's band. So all of these musicians that I've mentioned, that they have one thing in common. They have high caliber, and how they inspire everyone is that it's through their willingness to share, and also they live up to their example by through their playing. Yeah. So I think once you are inspired, you would like to emulate that as an example, you see. I have well, again, there's a few groups. I mean, I have I have not played. I have played with many groups. If you are talking about in the high school level, I would really cherish the Penang Free School marching band a lot, because I would say that we had a lot of fun there. So after that, the next stage of it is actually USM Jazz Band. That was a very, very interesting period of time with, I mean, what I could remember is that when we first started playing with Professor Jip as the conductor, I think those early years, we have had a lot of fun, because it's like exploring new music, and then everything was new, and then and we had so much fun playing in concerts, So that was another memorable time. And then after that, I would say that the Penang Philharmonic Big Band, which we had a lot of very, very good concerts there. We enjoyed ourselves a lot, as the response from the audience was really good, and we enjoy playing those exploring those new repertoire. And then finally is actually the Big Band of Penang. I would say that looking back, our most memorable we have a few memorable events that we will always cherish. This is like when we have got the invitation to perform at the 10th Thailand International Jazz Conference in Bangkok back in 2018 at the Mahidol College of Music, which is actually one of the most prestigious music college in this region. And I cannot forget that during the performances, we also had our Thai brothers joining us. Like I had these two two friends, both of them are trumpeters, Mr. Platong and Ajan Wirasak. And also we had what do you call it? We brought in also friends from not from not the regular members of the big band to join in and play, And then of course, besides that, I would say besides the Thailand International Jazz Conference is the Hua Hin International Jazz Festival back in 1919, which is well, to get the invitation is already a very happy moment exciting moment for all, and then to play in this festival in Hua Hin. Hua Hin is basically a beach, It's a tourism belt, and they always have this annual festival. So it's the preparation and that time, the team was a very strong team. So we do enjoy that. So that is for the big group. And then now we come to the small group I would say that with Northern Jazz Ensemble unit, we had a very good time too, especially performing actively in Penang circuit, in the what do you call it, local functions, and then working closely with the musician, with the team. That time we have like 4 of us, vocalists with Adrian, drummer James Kin Peterson, bassist Mr. Bakri, and of course very interesting situation. We sometimes we had our share of quarrel. It's like, oh, we don't agree with this, and then sometimes our bassist, who is the most senior in the group, being like a sergeant behind the back line. He's like, no, that is wrong. Come on, play, practice more. It's like a sergeant drilling from behind. But at the end of the day, I think what makes that memorable is that when you during the gig, when you played well, up to the expectation. So everything that is that magic. You see, most of the time the magic is that issue, and that whatever you had is all you just because you just want to show your best. You see, and once that's achieved, that's where it becomes very memorable. And then you will laugh at it because it's like, wow, we have gone through this, and or like now when we look back at certain things, like we laugh at things like, you told me before, I did challenge you, but then again, you were right on this, and then and then when we realize that some of the mistake we have done during that time, oh, well, I cannot imagine, I didn't realize that we played like this, and that those were the fun time, you see. Well, unfortunately, the problem that we are all facing at this moment with the pandemic is that it's difficult to mobilize. It's due because of the fact that like last year we tried to mobilize, but then again with the constant lockdown, which with a series of lockdown that was in place, it became like quite difficult to get them together. And our problem with big band is that we need to come together. Okay, that is already the first problem. We can't come together is because we have like 17 members, and the risk will be quite high if you get all the 17 people to come in, because if you want to observe SOP, then we will need to look for a bigger venue to have the practices, and then of course, thirdly, to have practices means you have to set targets. Okay, like when are we going to have the performance? So at this point, I think it's a little bit out of question to actually come back to practice for now, because our members, mainly majority of them, are quite concerned with the high number of cases. So and then of course you have the remote like like what everybody has been doing, playing remotely and recording from a virtual band. Yes, but the problem is actually that involves a lot of manpower in terms that we need to edit the videos and also the sound. So it's quite a gigantic task to pass around, the videos and the recording of 17 people, and left alone to do it. Of course, I'm not saying it cannot be done, but at this moment it's a little bit quite difficult. So what we are trying to do now is that we may resume and start with a smaller group, and perhaps we may think about making a video, but with a smaller setup first, and that is how we will keep our fans connected. But in the meantime, we do have since I think June, we do have what do you call it, internal forum among the members where we have talks. We have organized a few talks. We kickstart the forums, that one which is open to a lot of people, where we talk about jazz, we talk about history of jazz, we start to show some videos of jazz performances. Then after that, we do invite our friends from KL like Tejas to come on board to talk about his latest album and things like that. So it will keep us posted and updated. And then recently, over the weekend, we have another forum which is a conversation between Julian Chan, Inche Zamrus of the UPSI, and me myself, where we talk about the big band scene in Malaysia. So I think you have to keep yourself posted. Visit our Facebook page, but we will try to start doing something, but again, cautiously, because we did try to organize a concert last year and also this year, but the problem is, unfortunately, each time when it comes to the concert, it was abruptly cancelled due to the lock. So at this moment, since we are not really very certain with the whole situation, we'll just approach it cautious. We won't rush into things, but I have also discussed with a team member about possibility of resuming practice on the smaller scale. And again, the challenge here is that we have to wait for everyone to have the full vaccination, because as I found out, not all have their full vaccination, so we still have to wait for that. Yeah. If the pandemic still persists, well, what I can say is actually perhaps the smaller combination may work favorably, because number one, it's easier to mobilize. Okay, so maybe the large ensemble might have a tough time continuing. Just as I see, also it will also happen to symphony orchestras as well, because it involves, the more personnel you involve, that's where it becomes trickier, and also the risk will maybe a little bit higher, even though we may observe the SOP. So the trend will become like the 3-piece, 4-piece, or maximum 5-piece, or even like a duo, maybe one of the trend that we could still maintain. Okay, and also I could see that performing remotely, a pre-recorded performance maybe the trend, because it may be safer, and also that because we still have to wait for the government to relax on the what do you call it, on the conditions for the public to come into concerts, because at this moment, as I understand, it's open, but with certain restrictions, you see. So that may prove to be a little bit of a disadvantage. So but nothing we can do, but we can actually still just the preserve the what do you call it, the smaller setup, and also in the meantime is that we will also do our best to encourage. I think what is essential here is that I think the musicians themselves have to keep themselves fit, although they can't come together as a bigger group. Importantly is that they continue to practice and preserve their chops and their technique. So once if it's time to come together, at least they still have the technique to execute those music, because I understand even like in KL during this pandemic, a lot of them have really, like, they don't play so often. So maybe we will find a way to keep them fit. But as for the public, I think we will have to resort to the smaller group, and then we will have to, use the remote, the virtual band concept to promote our music. Yeah. Well, what I like the most when it comes to playing jazz is first is a teamwork. I love playing with a group of people. Because playing alone as a solo pianist is kind of boring. It's not to say it's no good, but it's not as fun as when you have a few people. What I like about it is working together, you have your share of fun. This I mentioned earlier. You get to quarrel, you get to laugh together, and you get to kuto each other lah. That is a fun part, and then you laugh at it after a few years later. I mean, in a productive way. I'm not saying in a bad way. And also I love the fact that when you synergize all the ideas together, it became such an awesome idea, which you yourself can't possibly come up with that. And also secondly, which is the in thing that really that I'm really very attracted to jazz in the first place, is that the improvisatory part of it, where in classical music you don't get to improvise. Okay, you only get you have to play what is actually have been fixed by the composer. Whereas in jazz music, the performer is expected to be able to improvise on those in the improvisation section. So in a way, the idea is limitless. You can sound like you see. It's more personal, and with that, it's a never-ending quest to learn and to practice and to come out with a better line. So to me, that is something very, very interesting for me. Even until today, even during the pandemic, I still have not stopped listening to jazz or even practicing jazz, because there's so much more to explore. Never ending exploration. I don't think in this one lifetime it will be over. Maybe I need a few lifetime, in order to learn a small percentage of it. Yeah. So I think for me, I would like to see that first, I hope that Penang can turn into a northern region jazz hub for Malaysia. Okay, where we will be able to see that a community of jazz musicians and jazz audiences has been built, and then there is a large following of jazz music. And also I hope to see that that more Penang jazz musicians, whether they are amateurs or they are professional or semi-pro, they would be able to gain regional and international recognition, and will get to be invited to perform in various regional jazz festival, and that will in turn be a very good recognition to Penang as a jazz hub, and also put Penang in the international map of in the international jazz map. You see, because at this moment, what do you call it? Penang has hosted like one of the longest running Penang Island Jazz Festival, and this is known as a destination for that festival. But what is lacking in Penang is actually the human resource. That means the musicians, you know. So it would be nice if Penang would have, you know, more high caliber musicians, and they get to perform in all these regional and international and even national level jazz festival, right? At this moment, not to say we don't have, but it's quite okay. The jazz musicians are quite limited, and also the ones who get to play in the regional circuit is also quite limited at this point of time. So we would like to see that increase in the future. Yeah, so that will help to give that kind of image to Penang as a international, like as a northern jazz hub of Malaysia. Well, before the pandemic, we have actually we have embarked on this effort to reach out to the younger players. So I mean, in the society, we have a program called the Jazz Ensemble Program, and the Jazz Ensemble Program is actually it's a weekly program for the members to come together to play in a jazz band or big band setup. So at that time, we have two big bands. So one is bebop, another one we call it youth bebop. So bebop is actually mainly those more advanced and experienced players, and a lot of adults there. So the youth bebop is mainly catering for those, you know, youth from schools or high schools or university who are still studying. Maybe their skills may not be as advanced as the other group, but they could play together, you know, among their peers. Okay, so this is one of the weekly activity that we cultivate to get these youngsters into playing jazz in a big band setup. And of course, at the same time, we try to you know, get in touch with a lot of those youngsters from the high school, you know, and then we encourage them to come in as a small band to play jazz. And also at the end of 2019, you know, we have also had a collaboration with Penang Pack, and where we organized a 1 week jazz camp where it was led by Mr. Michael Verapan, who was the program director. So we had these 5 days, you know, so the youth bebop members also get to join in, and plus our own bebop members, and also whoever that is interested, and they pay a certain nominal fee, and they come in with the 5 days of a camp where they get to learn a lot of on the art of playing jazz, like the jazz theory, jazz harmony, and then, like, you know, how do you improvise, and then they get to improvise, and then at the end of the camp, you know, there's a finale concert for them to play, you know, to perform in. So that is one of our early what do you call it, education effort into promoting jazz. So now fast forward, so what have we been doing during the pandemic? So this year we were a little bit fortunate that you know, we have received some grants from Cendana. So at this moment, although it's a pandemic, but we are running an education and outreach program to a secondary school. Initially, the program is like to have this program in a secondary school which has a school band, orchestra program, or marching band program, or you know, wind band program, you know. And then this program is just supposed to, what do you call it, complement what they are having now, without really, affecting how they are currently run. So we at the moment we have adopted the what they call it, the Methodist Girls School Orchestra. So you'll be asking, so what does a string orchestra has anything to do with us? So we thought carefully about it, and we find that actually when you come to education and outreach program, if you are a little bit more like a more specific, like let's say, okay, we only do jazz education and outreach, then it become a kind of a disadvantage, because the pool of jazz groups are not really that big, right? So for us, in the end, we decided, okay, if you are talking about education and outreach project, it doesn't have to be all about jazz. Important is about music education, because jazz is also part of music education. They share the same element, but it's just that it's a style of music. Okay, so that's where we are fortunate enough to work with this group of very young, highly talented students at Methodist Girls School, and then from there we will slowly, the strategy here is to expose them to the elements of jazz. And then also at the same time, if you are talking about wanting to be, hope that we could turn Penang into a northern region jazz hub, what is really needed is that most of this, you must have a pool of musicians who are of a certain caliber. So the best place to start is from the school level, where you impart the skills to them, and that is what is important. You are actually building up this human resource from the ground, from the grassroots. Okay, so grassroots, they may not be so like immediately can play jazz, so it doesn't matter. So we just feed them with all the elements that is needed, and when they are ready, that's where you will see that through our activities, so we try to reach out to them, although now is at this moment, since we are in lockdown for so long, we have to go through remote process. But even in remote process, we try our best to get them to make the video of their own performance, and then we put together the video. It's a form of like setting targets for them, and then for the final finale project, so they are exposed to a various kind of repertoire, from pop to some soundtrack and to a little bit of jazz, because youngsters, I don't like jazz, but then again, they like a lot of other stuff. But even nowadays, you have hip hop with jazz together, that kind of concept. So to appeal to them, I think is the exposure, because sometimes they may not be exposed to the right material. So before, kids nowadays, before they even know what they're talking, I don't like this, I don't like that. Yeah, I like this one, it's hip, So we try to connect with them. And then at the same time also, this is our future networking that we will have in the coming years. You may not see it now, but once they are out there, they start to come back to work. And if they have, and what our objective is that we want to inspire them, so that when they are back, in the island, and start their career life, they still would want to crave, and they want to continue to play, because they had so much fun. And then you will have a future group of human resource. Yeah. And also we want to make it, our message also to them is that we do not want them to think that, the music making process will stop after your high school. No, because that's what we all think. A lot of my friends think, after Form 5, okay, I go and study, I become doctor, engineer, or whatever lah. So no more music. There's no more platform for me to play. So that's it, finish. But actually, we want them to understand that no, you can still form a small group, and you can still go gigging. There are so many opportunities opening, where hey, you don't have to stop playing. And then by the time you are in the career world, they are actually financially also quite better off. They can buy their own instruments, you see. Whereas you compare to this stage, of course, they have to use school instruments. So these are the kind of concept we are trying to put into them through the education and outreach project